Let's see. I've been working on my diction, so let's give this a shot. Three Wise. No.
Three Wise Radio.
I've got a list of stuff as well that I kind of looked into last night. So
Okay, cool.
Welcome to Three Wise Radio, podcast where we talk about movies, TVs, videos, video games, comics, computers, the internet, everything else.
Space-time continuum?
Yes, all that wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey shit. My name is Garrett Welker. I am filling in today for the host. Joining me is my other co-host, Sam Pixley.
Hi.
Hey, Sam. How you doing today?
Good. Our podcasting table has not yet arrived in the new apartments. We are huddled around a coffee table. There's lots of wires, lots of cables, and lots of high energy.
Yeah.
Ish.
We are joined as well today by Movie Versus very own Tyler Lamb. How you doing today, Tyler?
hey, I'm doing great, keeping that energy alive. You know, making everybody excited. It's me. It's Tyler from Movie Versus.
You know the energy is up when halfway through your sentence you go, Oh my goodness. All right. So what's going on over there in Movie Versus Land? How are things looking?
You know, Movie Versus Land is keeping the plants watered, keeping the movies coming. You know, we're just we're watching bad movies and trying to make them sound good. That's what we do over here, and we're trying to keep on doing it.
Very good. I haven't actually looked at this last week's episode. Is it a off week for you guys, or are you watching movies this week?
When this episode comes out, so we come out on Thursdays.
Right.
I think you guys come out on Mondays or Tuesdays.
Yeah. Tuesday's on our best day.
Okay. And so this Thursday will be a prequel episode, and we actually just went to a midnight screening of The Room.
Oh, I've heard.
And Tommy Wiseau was there, and we were with the Good, Better, Bad guys. And so we're going to be talking a lot about that. Also assigning the movies that we'll be watching next week. And last week, I saw the Emoji Movie, and Steve saw The Nut Job 2. And we had to try to make those movies sound good.
Right. I remember the switcheroo that Charlie pulled on you guys for that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was what a time to be alive, being told that I'm actually seeing the Emoji Movie.
I'm pretty sure that the Emoji Movie is getting a sequel. I know you guys talked about that. I'm almost positive it is actually getting that.
Man, I couldn't be more ecstatic. For this emoji verse to really just take
the
shape.
emoji verse.
Yeah.
Oh man, that'd be so pointless. So, all right, let's get into some headlines. Let's get this baby running. Just because I want to get it out of the way, it's not even a headline, but let's just do a quick summary of the last week to 2 weeks in DCEU news.
Oh, sweet Jesus. News/rumors.
News/rumors.
Who knows what's going on?
Yes.
The DC Rumor Mill exclusive.
I feel like there are people just shitting in toilets and trying to read it like tea leaves to come up with what the news of the day is going to be for the DCEU. From Matt Reeves' Batman is not going to be in the DCEU. Let's see. There's going to be a Harley Quinn and Joker movie, along with a Joker movie that's Martin Scorsese is going to produce, where it's in the 80s. Let's see. What else do we got? Ben Affleck is out as Batman. Now they're saying that the movie Justice League isn't really going to be that big of a departure from Snyder's vision after Joss Whedon's ex-wife said that he's apparently a horrible, sexist, terrible human being. So that part's not so much rumor.
About Joss Whedon or about
Joss Whedon? Oh, that was a big deal this past week. I believe it's his ex-wife.
Oh, wow.
Or I think so. Was it? Are you familiar with this, Tyler? Are you privy to this?
No, I didn't hear about this
dude. Saying that the whole Buffy the Vampire Slayer and female empowerment thing is a load of crap because he's actually a raging sexist. Wow.
That's
so glad that he got to skate away with Avengers on that, and then this yet again gets dumped on DC.
So I'm just imagining him on set of Buffy the Vampire, constantly rolling his eyes at everything he's saying. He's like, "Oh yeah," and then she's gonna save the day. But I heard Justice League Dark is moving even more forward with production. There's just a bunch of weird news. Oh, and then Matt Reeves came out and was like, "Oh yeah, actually, I was misquoted. Batman is going to be a part of the DCEU or whatever."
It's just not going to be like it's not going to be like as connected as the Marvel movies, is what he said.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to be a standalone, which is exactly what everyone had assumed it was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like the DCU movies aren't something where like, oh man, I hope he's in Arkham Asylum and then Wonder Woman shows up.
That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Because it would be completely pointless.
There's a bunch of weird news about Gotham City Sirens and David Ayer, like, oh, that's happening. Oh, it's not happening anymore. Now it's going to be now the movie itself isn't going to happen anymore. It's going to be this Joker Harley Quinn movie. Like, yeah, it's I don't know.
It's gross all around.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just most of it's probably crap. I think the bigger concern is they just need to shore it up and figure out. It's clear that there's no direction.
Yeah.
And that is worrisome. But Shazam is being filmed super quick.
Do we know who Shazam's going to be?
Absolutely not.
All right.
But it is being played by two people. Because they did have an article where they talked about how it's too expensive to try and just make an adult and then
make them a child.
Edit him into a child
Gotcha.
the whole time. So why bother
Yeah,
doing that?
especially when you can't see the actor playing the adult version.
Yeah.
You know?
Who's the lead? Who's in this movie that's apparently the next thing being shot?
I don't know, but it would be great if it was like every time he became Shazam, he was just completely hooded, and so you like couldn't see his face at all.
Just glowing lightning eyes.
Until the very end, and then it ends up being John Cena, like that reveal at the end of Daddy's Home or whatever. When he rolls up on the motorbike and pulls off his helmet, and it's just John Cena standing there.
Yeah, that would be pretty good. I mean, not great for press and, publicity, but
yeah, and marketing.
yeah, that whole aspect. But I think honestly, I'm just kind of done talking about it. So that's why I didn't want to turn it into 8 different stories.
Yeah.
Just kind of turn it into one thing of.
Let's vent our frustrations real quick.
So sick of seeing all these stories that now I'm not even clicking on them.
Yeah.
Yep, same. I
Magic.
just kind of like roll my eyes and keep scrolling.
Yep, it's a beautiful thing. Slightly switching, but still in DC news. Who's the biggest feminist you know?
Oh, Joss Whedon.
Close second. The biggest authority on feminism.
Oh, I don't know.
It's James Cameron.
No.
Yeah, that's true.
Just in case you were unaware.
No.
He recently was criticizing Wonder Woman and how it really wasn't a feminist movie and wasn't really empowering. It was actually a step back. Let's see. Mm-hmm. From the quote, all of the self-congratulatory back-patting Hollywood's been doing over Wonder Woman has been so misguided. She's an objectified icon, and it's just male Hollywood doing the same old thing. And then he goes to talk about how his own character from Terminator 2,
Yeah, that's
Sarah
the
Connor,
key.
was an
That's the key
extremely
point.
powerful woman. Like, she was dirty, and she wasn't pretty, and nobody wanted to fuck her. So...
Except for John Connor.
Yeah, well... So...
I think that this is, or not John Connor, that's her son. That'd be weird.
this isn't Back to the Future.
Whatever the guy's name is. Anyway, I think that's the main point of this is that he's like, guys, remember I did a movie with a female protagonist and she was badass. Oh God, this isn't the first time it's been done. I did it. Remember?
Yeah.
Avatar 2, 3, and 4 coming out soon.
You're not wrong. I definitely feel like he's just trying to keep himself relevant. So I don't think anyone really asked.
That's not even relevant. That's just like he's like the person in the conversation that like it's like when you're having a conversation with a buddy on the train and then someone leans forward and like gives you their input on whatever you're talking about. It's like you're a complete stranger and I don't know you. So what do you have to bring to this conversation and why do you feel like you should get in on this?
Yeah, and you both just do the and like try to turn away and continue your own conversation.
Thanks, James. That's excellent. Yeah, but I mean, the kickback on it has been massive. I don't think any single person is in his corner.
No,
except for whoever is cast in Avatar 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is Sam Worthington still in it?
I thought he was.
I don't know. As far as I know, they don't even have a cast. Or like
neither does Shazam, but I'm pretty sure they're halfway done filming.
Yeah, I know. I I have no idea.
I think it's a beautiful thing. How about Star Wars news? Should we transition?
Yeah.
Let's transition. So we did just recently get released, I don't know if you guys have seen them, but 2 new vehicles for The Last Jedi, a new Star Destroyer and a new Walker. Have you guys taken a look at either of these?
I did not. I'll pull it up while you guys talk about it.
It's the Dreadnought Warship and the ATM-6 Walker. So essentially we're just getting vehicles that just look like bigger counterparts of the original AT-AT and Imperial Star Destroyer. What do you think of the designs, Garrett?
I like the new Walker because like it's got that cannon on the back there.
And it looks like a monkey.
Yeah, it does look very kind of like gorilla-esque. Which
Are we gonna see it lean forward and ask for permission from Snoke at some point in this movie?
It's unlikely, but you can't rule anything out.
It's true.
I can see that kind of I can honestly see it maybe being a little bit shorter than the regular AT-AT was. And then, but just like being a lot more mobile, maybe.
Do you know the first? I only bring this up because as I was looking at it, the first thing that I thought that this equated to was Jurassic Park 3. And I'll tell you why. Because I remember in Jurassic Park 3, the entire time they were like on the island, it was just like, oh man, this thing, whatever's running around, it's bigger than a T-Rex. Oh my god, it's more deadly than a T-Rex. The Spinosaurus. Yeah. And then the Spinosaurus shows up and like fights and destroys a T-Rex. And it's supposed to be cooler, but nostalgia kicks in and you're like, no, fuck that Spinosaurus. Like, T-Rex is still way cooler. It's like, even though these ships have like more guns, they're bigger, they're more effective, I'm still like, no, I want the regular AT-ATs. Yeah. I don't need this like bendable, movable AT-AT that can like go up on its haunches to shoot a big laser cannon.
Yeah.
So that's how
that would be pretty dope if it like stood up on its hind legs and had a big
if it did that, yes.
Thing, like a gun in its stomach or something that was like
it just turns into the Iron Giant.
Yeah.
The only thing with that is if that were to happen, you would want it to fight something else large, but the Rebels don't have anything large, so it would just essentially be standing up to look like it's pissing lasers.
I don't see a problem.
Yeah, what are you complaining about here, Sam?
You're right. The more I go into it, the more I like it.
I mean, I'm sold.
Maybe in episode 9 we'll get that, but who knows? All right, let's see what else we've got going on here. Oh, yeah. Are you guys... So right now, Stephen King's It is about to be released, and it's getting some really great reviews and really high projections as far on the financial side of it. Are you guys into this, or are you guys into horror movies in general?
So honestly, the original It is what made me terrified of clowns as a child to this day. But this movie looks so good. I'm excited to be scared of clowns again. Does that make sense?
It does.
Just because this movie looks great, the cast looks great. I've kind of been like avoiding a lot of the new stuff just because I don't want to get oversaturated with it. You know, I don't want to. This seems like a good movie that you wouldn't want a lot of things spoiled by the trailers.
They've done a good job of not putting too much in.
Yeah.
What about you, Tyler?
Well, first, Garrett, have you seen that TV special or whatever? Have you seen it recently?
No.
It's pretty bad.
Doesn't it hold up?
It does not hold up.
How dare you?
It's very cheesy and very like, I don't know. As a kid, yeah, I agree with you. It scared the shit out of me. Like
specifically
was like,
the shower scene where he comes up out of the shower drain, like that terrified me.
Yeah. Looking back on it, it's like, oh man. But yeah, this new one looks terrifying. Other than the scene in the first trailer when the little kid hit his head on that beam when he was running, that shit was hilarious. But then the rest of that trailer was like, oh dear God, this is terrifying. And yeah, Sam, you asked it as well. I very much so love horror movies, and I like more horror movies that. I know Pennywise is a little supernatural, like it's a weird creature thing, but I'm not into paranormal, like ghost stuff. So when it's like some weird killer thing going on the loose, like that's pretty dope. I don't know.
I believe it's actually in the book. I believe it's actually an alien.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's some sort of creature. I know that it's also in the Dark Tower series. Like Pennywise is a villain in the Dark Tower series. But, I don't know. Dark Tower is just Stephen King connecting all of his books together.
Yeah,
so.
it's combined universe. But I'm very excited to see it. I think it looks terrifying. My question now is, would you guys go to this screening? Are you guys both familiar with the Alamo Drafthouse? It's a chain.
Yeah.
It's a chain of smaller chain, I believe, of movie theaters, but they do really cool events and things like that, and they partner with a lot of interesting folks. But in Austin, Texas, on September 9th, they are having a showing where you have to be dressed as a clown to come.
Oh God!
And so it is just going to be a theater filled with clowns.
Yeah, I mean, I just put on a little red nose and go on in and be like, hey, I'm a clown. Look.
I don't know if that's going to quantify, or I think that the other clowns might then turn on you. Honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I could swing that.
I could not.
No, I wouldn't be able to do it. Just because it sounds like too much work to go to see a movie.
Well, yeah, that.
I got to call my makeup guy and.
Yeah, I definitely have a makeup guy. It's not just me in the mirror every morning.
So sad.
But did you guys are aware? A lot of people I've talked to aren't aware that this is the first part of two movies. Like they're doing the adult.
Right. I love that. I love that.
Same. I really like that they're spinning a full movie focusing on the children aspect, and then we'll get into. So I'm interested to see who will be playing the adult characters in the next movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So let's go. Mark Wahlberg.
John Cena,
Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Who else?
Is this a
Robert
WWE
Pattinson.
production? and Robert Pattinson. Introducing Robert Pattinson.
Apparently, that new movie he's in is pretty good.
What is that?
I don't remember what it was called. I think it was
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's an A24 movie, so it probably is pretty good. Everything that they put out's
it's like some
decent.
sort of
like Transmorphers.
crime drama sort of thing.
yeah, it's exactly like Transmorphers, actually.
Well, that's the company that puts those out, right?
No, that's Asylum. A24
damn.
puts out a lot of the newer, like really good horror movies have been A24. I think It Comes at Night was the most recent one that was maybe A24. I think they also did Get Out.
Terrible.
They did that movie Room with Brie Larson.
And the little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, horror story. That's fine. Let's see here. Last bit of headline that I've got for you guys, sticking in the clown realm. Anybody still watching American Horror Story?
I never started.
I got about halfway through this most recent season. That's where I fell off.
Well, has anybody watched the new trailer for this season?
Yes.
No.
So, essentially, we've got a mother who is dealing with, she's got a fear of clowns.
Sarah Paulson.
Clownophobia, or whatever you want to call it. And everything starts getting more intense, and this entire show is triggered off of the election.
Yep.
Are you titillated, Tyler?
Coulrophobia, by the way.
Coulrophobia?
Coulro phobia.
Okay. Coulrophobia. Okay, so she's got coulrophobia. It opens with, essentially, I think it's Evan Peters.
Yeah.
Evan Peters is dressed as some kind of goth guy. And they announce, what are you most afraid of? And then it says, Michigan 2016. Donald Trump is your president.
Oh, terrifying.
She screams at the TV, to which point Evan Peters counters that by screaming at the TV, running over, and then proceeding to dry hump the TV. Yeah. And then everything escalates from there.
I mean, that's typically what starts it. The best way to make a TV show last, throughout time is make it so, so oriented in the time period it's taking place in.
Well, it's period piece.
I don't know. I think that's kind of a lame plot device. Yeah. Personally,
the trailer actually progressively gets better, and I think more interesting, and it kind of becomes like, it looks like there's just these crazy clown people trying to break into this home, that these two moms and their kiddo have, but just the escalation from that original device of like the election. I just feel like, can we come up with different things or like better things?
From election to dry humping, it's.
Oh, that was a span of like 2 seconds.
It was quite quick. It was pretty impressive stuff. Yeah, I haven't watched American Horror Story in quite some time. I was really excited about the first season, second season, then just dropped off.
It's gone really downhill after season 3. Like real bad.
I mean, is it just try too hard? Because I never even watched it, so I don't know what's getting worse about it. Conceptually, it's great.
Conceptually, yeah, it's great, but like the writing's not that has been going downhill. They just try and throw in, especially with this last season, they tried to throw in too many storylines of what was going on, and it's just like there's way too much going on right now for me to follow. Like there was vampires, there was this guy hunting a serial killer and the serial killer turned out to be a ghost who's still in the hotel somehow. So it's just like, what the fuck is actually going on here? Because I don't think you guys know.
Oh, I have
the writers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, not you. Well, maybe we'll figure it out someday. Who knows? When we come back, we're going to be talking about series finales in honor of the Game of Thrones season finale. Oh God! Coming up this week.
Yeah, can I get a 3 Ys with onions and give me some extra ketchup?
You want onions on it?
Yeah, extra onions.
Okay, so onions.
Yeah, the 3 Ys.
Yes, all right.
Alrighty, so in honor of the season finale of Game of Thrones, we're going to be talking series finales because that connects just enough that I think we can get away with it. So basically, this season of Game of Thrones has gotten mixed reviews, some would say. Tyler, you watch?
I do not watch. I read the first 2.5 books, watched the first season, like the first 2 episodes of the second season, and I just never went back in on either.
Fair enough.
For whatever reason.
But essentially what we're getting to here is we're coming to the tail end of this show. People are giving very mixed reviews to an almost universally praised show, which kind of begs the question, we're coming up to the end. Endings are the hardest thing to do, which I just wanted to touch base with you guys as to why that is and what makes a good ending, and then kind of talk about what we think are some of the best or worst show endings that we've seen. Yeah.
So are we doing pretty much full spoilers for these shows that we're going to talk about?
Grip it and rip it. Okay. Sorry if you haven't seen these before, but yeah, full spoilers.
Okay, cool.
So what makes a good ending?
Ooh, see, that's a hard question to answer because sometimes endings are great, but the first time you initially see it, it's not that good, if that makes sense. So like one of the ones on my list here, Seinfeld, when I first saw that finale, I did not like it. But over time, like re-watching the show, re-seeing that finale and seeing all, I think that it's an amazing finale.
It is. It most definitely is.
And I think that that's a good example of something that I don't think a lot of people liked it the first time because that kind of show has so much behind it. There's really no way to just be satisfied the first time, I guess. I don't know. But at the same time, for like Community, I think its current finale is really, really good, and it's one of my favorites.
Okay. Well, so for Seinfeld, the season finale or the series finale is essentially they land in jail for being bad people, and then they sit down in the same seats that they usually sit in at the coffee shop and start having the same conversation that I believe they had in the first episode.
Yeah, it's a conversation about like a top button.
Yep.
That started episode 1. And George and him are having the exact same conversation, showing that these characters never change.
Have had zero growth, which is the best part of Seinfeld. So yeah, I agree. I think that's a great ending because it's indicative. I think the most important part with an ending is remaining true to who the characters are.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Kind of wrapping everything up, but making it not a definitive ending. In some shows, like some shows need to have a definitive ending. Some shows you need to know that those characters are still going to be going on and living their life or whatever. I mentioned the Community episode that still held true to the characters and the show itself. They spent a lot of the last episode, each one of them pitching their own idea to what the next season of their show would be. because they're all like kind of separating ways, and they're like, oh well, what would the next season of your show be? How are you gonna get Annie to come back? How are you gonna get so and so to come back? And they would all like do that. And
Oh, that's
I don't
kind of
know.
clever. I actually haven't seen the last couple seasons of Community, but it is a great show.
yeah, the season 5 is actually one of my favorite seasons. Season 6 is the Yahoo season, and it kind of fluctuates, but it's still pretty good.
And the season 6, the series finale that you're holding to is from season 6.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't think I've watched any of season 6.
It's all on Hulu now. So
All right, very good, very good. I mean, I'm also personally, I'm sappy for good endings. I want to have happy endings for my characters. I realize that sometimes it doesn't fit, but I feel like even if you go on a really interesting journey with a character, that can kind of make up for a bit of a sappy ending, just to put a little like icing on top of it. Rarely am I happy about a terrible ending.
Garrett, what do you? We both mentioned finales we really like. What's one that you really like?
Honestly, I really enjoyed the Breaking Bad finale.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. It wrapped itself up in such a way that I was like, it was just, like Sam said, opposite of what Sam was saying. It wasn't quite like a happy ending, but it was just like a definitive like, boom, this is where we leave you sort of thing, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay.
I think that it was a happy-ish ending where it needed to be, like seeing Jesse get away. That was really good. But then Walter White getting his just desserts that's what needed to happen. Like you didn't want him to just go back home and live with his family and because you got to face the
Sometimes justice needs to be served.
Yeah.
For some characters, which is interesting because the opposite. I've never watched Breaking Bad, so I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Oh, it's great.
But doesn't sound like it's a good ending for him.
Oh no.
Anywho, but on the other end of that spectrum, with somebody getting away with something, Dexter.
Oh yeah.
For me,
Yep, that's on my list as well.
For me, that's a garbage ending.
Yes.
I wanted it to have a better ending because it didn't have a happy ending or a bad or like a sad ending. It just kind of had like, it made the character take a choice that I don't think that would have been made. Whereas essentially he gives his child to another killer, and then he is on. Is a boating accident?
He drives into like a hurricane or a storm or something on his boat.
Right.
And then it just kind of fades to black, and then he wakes up as a lumberjack.
Right.
Somewhere with like a beard cutting wood down. I don't know.
So it's just kind of
what?
Yeah, it's pretty rough. It's kind of interesting when you have shows like that could have had a much better finale seasons prior. So like I think season 4 was the one with John Lithgow in that show.
The Trinity Killer.
The way that ended, I think that could have potentially been a series finale, like with him focusing so much on killing the other guy that's against him that he loses his wife or whatever. So I think that could have worked really well. Another show that had a really good finale but then got another season is like Scrubs. I think Scrubs had a really good finale.
It did,
but then they put in that 9th season, which kind of tarnishes that.
I don't really count. That's one that I don't count. Usually when people are like, for Dexter, for instance, don't count the 5th and 6th seasons. For Scrubs, I don't because it has like a subheader of like the new class or whatever.
I think technically it's called like Scrubs Med School or something like that.
So that doesn't quantify for me. But but Scrubs also has an all-around happy ending. Like everybody gets
It's true.
a good ending. Same for The Office.
Yeah, The Office. I think The Office was a really good finale, though. At least I cried.
Of course.
And but for a really bad finale for a sitcom, How I Met Your Mother was terrible. Even though it was kind of a goodish ending, like happy-ish for the main character, but it was terrible because it, like we were saying earlier, it didn't follow the characterizations. Like it didn't wrap up those characters to how they had made those characters.
It discredits the entirety of the series.
Yeah, and the whole season that we like, let alone that whole season we just watched.
Where this is essentially go ahead.
Well, I mean, I know that the story is they had the ending in mind after season 2 or something like that, and because they thought they were gonna get canceled, and it would have worked back at season 2 probably, but then they made 7 more seasons of character development and drilling in our drilling in our head that Robin and Ted were like not supposed to be together.
Yeah.
So
And then they pushed that it was going to be her and Barney, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
lo and behold, we do a time jump, and
JK.
oh, your mom's dead. Great.
and then the kids were like, no, go fuck Robin.
Yeah, go fuck.
We know
go
you
fuck
want to.
Aunt Robin,
Yes.
Yeah.
because Uncle Barney's out of the picture. God knows where.
And finally our mom kicked the bucket.
Yeah, this is literally you forgot to write your paper before school, and so you just crank something out at the end that doesn't mean anything, but there are words on the page,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then it said they live happily ever after. So yeah, it just discredits what you've done so far. Another one that I feel did that for me was Chuck. I don't know if
I
anybody
never
ever
watched
watched
never watched Chuck.
super guy that works at essentially fake Best Buy gets a chip implanted in him or something memory banked in it, so now he has secret agent powers. Develops a long relationship, falls in love with Yvonne Strahovski or whatever her name is.
Well, who hasn't?
Well, that's fair. And then essentially they fall in love, they get married. The Baldwin that isn't one of the Baldwin brothers is in it.
Adam Baldwin?
Yes, Adam Baldwin. They become good friends. And then the season finale, the bad guy wipes Yvonne Strahovski's memory, and then she doesn't remember anything. And then it ends with them sitting on the beach, and he's like, "Do you remember me?" It's like, "Nope."
Damn.
She's like, "But I wish I did." And he's like, "Shit."
Damn.
And pans out and shits on the audience all over.
And there's just a middle finger
Yep.
during
Drawn
the
in
credits.
sand.
That to me is just tragic. 'Cause it's like, why did I watch this? This might have well have been a dream sequence.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, interesting that you brought up Dream Sequence, because one of the most famous TV show endings of all time, Newhart, the show Newhart, where the finale, Newhart woke up and he was in bed with his the girl who played his wife in the Bob Newhart show.
I have no idea.
What?
I have no idea what you're talking
That's
about.
well, that's where that trope became. That's where that became a cliche from like waking up, be like, oh, it was all a dream. The show Newhart, which was Bob Newhart's show after the Bob Newhart show. The finale, he wakes up and he's in bed with the actress who played his wife in the Bob Newhart show. So
Wow.
the entirety of Newhart was just a dream
Wow.
from.
That's pretty. That's pretty great.
It's a pretty intense dream sequence. Is he just like in a coma or something?
Yeah, I don't know. You've been writhing in bed for days.
Damn.
You know, honestly, I think that might be a better way to resolve the current issue that's going on Kevin James's new show.
Ooh.
That might make more sense than whatever they're going to try and revolve
What
to
if
make
they
this
did
happen.
Do that though.
You know, it'd be even better is if it was Jerry Stiller wakes up from a dream and he had a bad dream about Kevin James's new show or something like that.
Have you seen Jerry Stiller lately?
No,
He is
I have
not doing well.
Oh, damn, that sucks.
Yes.
That's
Age
unfortunate.
has,
Wow.
But talk about weird show endings though. Isn't the last season of King of Queens? Don't they get divorced and break up?
oh, maybe they do. I didn't watch that show because it's King of Queens. But
Watch your mouth.
Are you a big King of Queens fan?
I'm not a big King of Queens fan, but I would watch it. It had Patton Oswalt and Jerry Stiller. It was funny.
I mean, I guess
It was
that's,
decent.
I suppose that's fair. That'd be sad if they got a divorce, but what are you gonna do? Anything else that we're missing from our memory banks?
The only other one that I was thinking was Parks and Rec.
Never got to it.
Yeah, I have that on my list as well.
I don't know. I felt like it was kind of the opposite of what they did with How I Met Your Mother, where it's like, oh, we just rushed all this character development real quick and it doesn't stay true to the character. But the finale stayed true to the characters, but I just felt like it was just a bunch of like time jumps. And it's like, this is what this person did over the years, and this is what this person did over the years, and it's like, okay, like, but it was just very like pipelined through.
Yeah, in Parks and Rec, I think they did an interesting way of making the whole last season a finale, pretty much, where they did a time jump. They're like, oh hey, this is 2 years later, and so these are all the things that's happening with everybody. Here's a season focusing on where their lives went, like. So that was interesting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't think that's a bad idea, actually.
It just didn't resonate as well with me, I guess.
I agree. I was never really as connected to those characters as I was to a show like The Office. I don't know. So I didn't, I wasn't crying at the end of Parks and Rec or anything, but.
I mean, The Office was also running a couple more seasons, wasn't it?
Yeah, actually, I think it was.
A few, but I think The Office had more heart because it belittles Parks and Rec. But I think it had more character moments of like.
I would agree with that.
Andy Dwyer is a sweet guy, but they never have those moments where like he talks about having a bad day or like he doesn't have like those Kevin Malone moments where you really feel for this guy. Mm-hmm. They kind of didn't go down that route too often.
Gotcha.
That I recall.
I've never seen The Office, so I don't know.
Cool. Yikes. Anything else from you, Tyler?
I think before we go into more famous endings, I would go on record and say that I enjoy the ending of Lost. I know a lot of people don't like it, but when I watched that show as it was on, and I was satisfied with the finale when I saw it when it aired. But yeah, I just wanted to put that on record, I guess.
They're in limbo?
No, that's not. That's a
big fan theory.
People think that that's what it is, but the writers and creators have been like, no, that's not what it is. But people are still like, oh yeah, they were dead the whole time, right? No, they're not. It's hard to explain without going into because it's just because the whole last season is like a separate timeline of like, oh, this is what happened if they blew up the island or something and they never crashed. It's a lot of, yeah, it sounds dumb, but it makes more sense if you like watch, because the show leads into that a lot better than me just saying, yeah, it's a side timeline.
But we're dealing with parallel timelines here.
Yeah. And there is one thing I really hated about the show, and it was the second to last episode where a character is asking another character questions and the character's answering them. Like, and these are questions that, us as audience members have wanted answers to as well. And he's asking these questions, and eventually the character just goes, I'm going to stop answering your questions because each answer is just going to lead to another question. And to me, that felt like the writers were like, okay, guys, fuck off. We're not gonna answer everything. Stop asking us. We don't know.
Oh. So were you offended that they would blatantly call you out like that, or
a little bit? I was like, oh, fuck you guys.
Was the character's name Tyler? Back off, Tyler. I'm not answering any more of your damn questions. Oh goodness. All right, Tyler. You said you've got a list of some of the most famous ones.
Yeah, I got a couple here a couple famous ones, and then a couple ones that I think I never really watched the shows, but I think they're funny endings.
Rock and roll. I'm sure you have dinosaurs.
Do you want me to go first, or do you want to?
No, you go for it. Rock and roll.
Oh well, St. Elsewhere is probably one of the most famous endings. I think. I don't know if you guys. That's the one where it's all inside of the snow globe of the autistic kid.
Yeah. Do you think that's a good one?
Oh, I don't know because I've never seen the show. So I couldn't tell you if it's good or not, like in the context. But I just know it's one of the most famous endings, that it was all in a snow globe.
It's worse than a dream.
Yeah, it kind of is. I was looking up lists, and one of I had never heard of the show, but it was listed multiple times as the best ending ever. Life on Mars. It was a UK show about a guy who was a cop who got hit by a car, and then he like wakes up and he's in 1973, and he's a detective in 1973. So like you don't know if he's dead, in a coma,
on Mars,
crazy on Mars. Yeah, no, it's so the ending in that, I think it's just a classic wrap up, but for some reason I guess it was really good.
Fair enough. I'm gonna have to pass.
What's that?
I'm gonna have to pass.
Okay. The ending of Dinosaurs, I think, is pretty hilarious.
It's the greatest. Are you familiar with this, Garrett? Go for it.
Well, it's this TV show. I'm sure you've seen
I remember
things of it.
Dinosaurs,
It's like those puppets that are dinosaurs. It's really yeah. And they all just die at the end because like something blots out the sun, and they pretty much become extinct. By
Well, no, I believe it's the head dinosaur or like the dad dinosaur
oh yeah,
does
not the
something
mama.
at work that causes
Yeah, that's
That
right.
causes
That's
the
right.
extinction.
he causes the extinction of his family and his entire species. And it's just like, oh, whoops. It's like if the Simpsons decided to get really dark, they would have Homer cause some kind of like nuclear power plant reaction. Even though I believe he hasn't worked there in quite some time, but
Also, I'm pretty sure he's almost caused it several times.
right. But then to actually execute it and be like, yep, this is it.
And then the last one I wanted to mention was the ending of Roseanne. How the whole last season is a storyline about how like they won the lottery and all this stuff, but then it turns out that they never won the lottery. John Goodman's character actually died, and like all this shit. It's just the whole last season was Roseanne writing some like book about a what if life.
Yeah, like a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little sullen.
Interesting.
That's
Just
not
a
as
little.
bad as though like a dream sequence,
Yeah, I agree.
but it's still a little
Still kinda
it's
in
a
that
little
same vein,
disheartening. Yeah, definitely. Alrighty. Well, I think what did we learn here, guys?
that The Sopranos is the best ending ever.
Where nothing happens.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that ending
No, I don't either.
because I think that ending is like these families, like shit should happen to these people.
Yeah.
I mean, and shit did happen, but like there should be, like we talked about, swift justice at some point. And the idea that now there's like the looming idea, similar to the movie It Follows, or I don't know if you're familiar with the movie.
Yeah, I am.
I know you are, Tyler. It's a great horror movie. But essentially, this thing just follows people. I won't go too much into it because you should definitely see this movie. But essentially, this thing follows you at a walking pace. And when they think they finally, defeated it, they are walking away, and it just kind of pans out. And you see just like people walking around because that's what people do. And it's just the idea of like, they might be fucked in the next 2 minutes. They might be totally fine. Who knows? I think that's what The Sopranos kind of did.
Yeah, and I think it is kind of implied that he is killed in the end there. Like because isn't like the son or somebody like coming to try to warn him, or I don't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah, I think there's like a little tell that there's a guy like approaching them.
Yeah.
But also there's also not.
Yeah, it also just stops.
Yeah, and then it cuts, and everybody around the world went, fuck. Could you imagine if that ending had happened when the internet was as big as it is today?
Oh my god, it'd be insane. There's a joke about it in BoJack Horseman, one of the episodes where a character is dating the girl who her dad is the editor, and he's like escaping from the room, and he's using the film reel of the finale to escape, and it snaps off, and so it's like, oh, haha, that's why it ended so quickly.
That's pretty clever. That's good writing right there.
Oh yeah,
Endings are hard.
they are.
There's no way to please everybody. I mean, some people want a happy, mushy ending. Some people don't. And no matter what, you're going to upset people. So what do you do?
Just write it so that it stays consistent with good writing and stuff, I guess, and good characterization.
There you go. That's a big
I
word.
think that the most important thing is for writers and creators to be let known that their show's ending. Because there's a
You're
lot
saying
of those
for
times where you
studios to let them know that your show is ending.
Yeah.
yeah, as in like, I mean, season 3 of Community is a finale to the show, but because he thought that the show was going to be canceled.
Yeah, but that's also the way the business works.
Yeah, I know, but it's just then sometimes you get shows that they thought that they're doing good, and so they just write for a next season, and the show doesn't get picked back up, and you're like, wait, what the fuck? I don't know.
Yeah, and that's fair too. And I think another important aspect of it is to remember that you should. I like it when writers know what the ending of their story is.
Yeah.
So, like for instance, Supernatural, which originally was supposed to be 5 seasons long, it's now in its 37th season. But the writer
14.
knew what he wanted to do and ended that story at the end of season
What's the
5.
end of season 5?
With the Lucifer and Michael actually having their battle royale.
Oh yeah.
And there's a real solid finale onto that. And then he was like, nope, that's it. I'm done. Like, and he tapped out, and I believe other people took it over and went forward with it.
That's kind of funny.
What?
It's just funny that this dude wrote the ending of the show and left, and then 10 years later, it's still going on.
Oh yeah. I mean, and I might be wrong. Maybe Joe, somewhere on a sabbatical, can let me know. But I believe that is kind of the trajectory that it took. It's like I know the story that I want to tell. I know how long it's going to be, and there you go. Which I think is actually a formula that works for like HBO right now. Things like that.
Imagine if the show, like the 5th season, ended with them all dying, and then the first episode of season 6 is just like, oh man, that was crazy, right? So anyway,
what a dream sequence.
Oh
That's
man, that'd be great.
that's half what happens.
Jesus Christ.
Well, it's about 2 brothers, correct?
Oh yeah,
Sam and
yeah,
Dean
of course.
Winchester. Sam dies, sacrificing himself for the good of mankind so that Dean can live a normal life as well. And then it's like, oh man, this wrapped up awesome. And it's Dean having dinner with his adoptive family. And the original writer's like, yes, perfect. Cut it there. And they're like, no, let it roll for 10 more seconds. We're going to pan out. And Sam's standing under a light pole like Dumbledore, just watching. And then it's a cut. And I hope that the original creator didn't know that was in it and watched the season finale at home. I was like, what the fuck? I need to make a phone call.
I quit. That's funny. And it's funny that there's now 2 CW shows I know of that should have ended a lot. You can end the show halfway watching it. You know what I mean? Like season 3.5 of The Arrow. You can end it halfway through season 3 and be like, oh, that was great. Good show.
Yep, he's dead. Perfect. All right. Not bad.
Wow, what a crazy finale.
But yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? I didn't learn anything from this, I don't think.
No.
Were we supposed to?
No, we never are.
We had fun. That's all that matters.
Fair enough. It's delicious. It's too delicious. Get out of here.
Piquing your interest. Bam.
All right, it's time for that time-honored segment, Piquing Our Interest, where we just find out what's piquing our interest. Garrett, what's piquing your interest?
Honestly, not related to our podcast. But the Mayweather-McGregor fight last night. It was just one of those things where it's like, why is this being a thing? It's just because McGregor's being a cocky asshole and lost.
Yeah, there's 2 things that I love about that is one, just how long it went, and then you just kind of see McGregor realizing, oh wait, boxing is a lot different than UFC, and he is so tired. Mm-hmm. Like he's like, God damn it, how can I do another round? Which is just kind of funny. And then also at the very end when they both like hug each other pretty much, and they're like, oh hey man, good job, that was fun. And it's like, yep, this was all just an act for them to make millions of dollars.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's absolutely.
I mean, there's also like there's a sense of like, I don't know, once you kind of get into that ring, I feel like there's a sense of like the rest of what we've been building up to this doesn't matter. It is truly just like a battle of skill rather than like just trash talking on each other, you know?
Yeah, and I do get the idea of not only hyping up the audience, but also like getting each other hyped to actually fight one another. Yeah. So it's like, okay, let's just be dickheads to one another.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. There's definitely so like, all right, you keep being an asshole. You be a little racist. Just not a racist enough that we're gonna have to like shut this down, but just enough to make people think.
To want to hit you.
Well, not even that, but just to get people talking about it. Because I think boxing at this point, unfortunately, the only reason that it's happening is it's the greatest example of FOMO in the world. Just fear of missing out. Like the only reason anybody watches it is because they want to be able to talk about it the next day. Yeah, and it's a multi-million-dollar night. But after this, I think boxing's pretty much done. But I was pretty impressed with the way they both kind of handled themselves afterwards. To be frank,
yeah,
it's a good time. Yeah, I actually watched it at my buddy's house, and we tried to find a stream of it because, why pay money? And we're like, you know what? That's fine. We're just not going to, we couldn't find a stream because, they're good at shutting that stuff down. I said, all right, fine, never mind. So then we sit down. There's a nice 70-inch screen TV on the wall, but not hooked up to any kind of cable. We get one tweet where it shows a punch going up. I'm like, shit. So then my buddy just buys it on his phone.
Jesus.
And 6 of us end up watching the entire fight on a phone propped up.
You couldn't Chromecast it or something?
Nope.
There? Damn.
Nope.
Man,
It was an intimate setting.
I'm surprised. Did you guys split the cost or something?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because last night I almost thought, I saw it on the PlayStation thing. I was like, oh, hey, how much is this? If it's $20, $100.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, fuck that.
No, I'm not gonna pay $100 to sit in my living room and do something.
And I thought $20 was a lot too. I was like, I guess I'll pay $20 for this.
Not even close. Tyler, what's piquing your interest?
So people who listen to Movie Versus frequently know that I've been talking a lot about the Souls series of video games.
Yeah.
Dark Souls, yes.
Yeah. Well, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, and Bloodborne, they're all related in a just game mechanics wise to an extent.
Yeah.
But
I think Bloodborne is directly linked to Dark Souls.
No, it's just directed by the same guy and made by the same company, and it has a lot of the same it has similar stuff. It's not, as far as I'm aware of, there's no direct connection. But first of all, Bloodborne to me is one of the greatest games I've ever played.
Oh yeah, it's super fun. I enjoy it.
So if you have a PlayStation 4, yeah, play it. But it got me to get the Bloodborne card game, which is a kind of board game / card game kind of. Sam, it's kind of like Epic Duels.
Gotcha. Well, that's dope.
Which is a Star Wars card game thing. And me and the Movie Versus guys have been playing that pretty much the past couple weeks when they come over to record, and it's a lot of fun. And my interest is still peaked on it because I want to play it again.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say it was only $30 too on Amazon, so it was pretty cheap for a good time.
It's only $10 more than a pay-per-view fight.
I know, and I'm getting more entertainment out of it.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's in related to that, there is a Dark Souls board game, but that is over $100 because it has figures and stuff.
Are you tempted?
Oh, I saw it on Amazon, but then that led me to the Bloodborne game, and I was like, oh, this is way cheaper.
Perfect. And bought.
Sam, what about you?
Ooh, piquing my interest, guys. Breaking news over the last week. We finally found out what the title of the Han Solo movie is going to be.
Oh, did we really?
Yeah.
Confirmed. It is going to be called
a Lego movie?
Han Solo.
Oh. Wow. Not even Star Wars or Han Solo, a Star Wars story?
Well, Han Solo, a Star Wars story.
Oh, okay. Man, this movie is probably going to be a train wreck, isn't it?
Yep.
Most
Speculation is out that the new Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, when that does wrap, my insiders are still working on it, but we do believe that it will be titled
Han Solo?
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh.
A Star Wars Tale.
Ooh.
A pretty radical departure. But my inside guys don't know yet. We're still working on it.
And that's a good reference to that crate dragon tail that you see in
Yep,
Star Wars.
that was the big stretch that I was going for. Yep. That is precisely it.
Because that's how you would spell it. You wouldn't spell it T-A-L-E.
The only reason I would get probably hyped for that movie is if it was titled Obi-Wan Kenobi, a crate dragon story.
And it's just the crate dragon talking to his son about a Jedi that he met once or something.
Yeah, potentially. But that news is dumb, so clearly I didn't really have a peaking of my interest
I was
this
about
week.
to say.
Well, it doesn't always have to be a positive peaking, so.
Nope. If you want something about our social media, this is what we have. Tell them, Garrett.
Oh, yeah, so...
Also give a shout out to Movie Versus.
Yeah. So, On Facebook, we are 3Wise Media. On Instagram and Twitter, although we don't use Twitter that often, 3Wise Radio. You can email us at 3wiseradio@gmail.com. Shout out to Tyler and the boys over at Movie Versus.
Yeah.
Shout out to David and the guys over at Beyond the Blast Doors. And shout out to Brian and Kyle over at Good Bad or Bad Bad. I also want to shout, you know what? What's even more piquing my interest is Brian's new podcast, This Film is Lit, where him and Katie, they do like a book versus movie comparison. And they did their first episode on The Princess Bride, and it was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
And I spoke with Brian and Kyle the other night, and I know what they got coming out here in a little bit. Little sizzle for their next episode, which is coming out this Friday, I think, when this is released. And I'll just say that I had to watch this movie in a past Movie Versus episode.
Nice.
So yeah.
Now my interest is piqued.
And you can check out Movie Versus every Thursday. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter, Movie Versus Podcast. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. We try to make bad movies sound good.
All right. I think that just about does it for us. We'll see you next week.
3Wise Radio is a production of 3Wise Media. For more information, check us out on Facebook.